Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate these bills moving forward, and am glad to support them. But I would be remiss if I did not speak of what's concurrently going on with the majority's reconciliation bill and the things that are being added to the package that were never even considered in the subcommittee or full committee. Why can't Congress operate like this committee operates? I can't emphasize enough how disappointed I am to see my Democratic colleagues suggest things like the disproportionate hospital share cuts to our safety net hospitals, who often provide care to the most in need in our communities. In my state of Florida, our hospital association estimates this would result in over $158 million in hospital cuts. It's really unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. These provisions put together behind closed doors seem to be directly targeted at states like mine to force them to do what Democrats want. And that's really unfair and unfortunate. It's also incredibly unfortunate to see bills that we negotiated in a bipartisan way, such as the Medicaid funding caps for Puerto Rico and the territories, be taken and thrown away just to put into a hyper-partisan package. As we know, the state of that negotiated territories bill was thrown off kilter by the Biden administration's creative interpretations of the law to make this funding permanent. Nevertheless, we acted in a bipartisan way to find a solution and a way forward. We agreed to put in a GAO legal analysis into the CR to look at CMS's interpretation of existing law that we believe does not represent congressional intent. In fact, the Congressional Research Service also conducted a legal review of the administration's decision to make territory funding permanent, which I'd like to enter into the record. And that review, CRA stated, and I quote, "To the extent that the flush text of subparagraph G2 is determined to be ambiguous, it is unclear that it is sufficiently implausible that Congress intended to return Puerto Rico Medicaid funding to levels provided as recently as fiscal year 19 to depart from the text's most natural reading." In other words, even if the law's language is ambiguous, interpreting this would most likely find that Congress intended to revert funding for Puerto Rico back to the lower levels. This means that the administration was wrong and that our bipartisan bill is still needed. I was proud to support full Medicaid funding for the territories and to get that bill enacted, along with Congressman Soto, my fellow Floridian. And yet, despite these efforts, the majority decided to turn this into a political game by stripping away our bipartisan deal and putting only their preferred partisan provisions into the package. They used a budget gimmick to take advantage of a low, inaccurate score with no accountability or oversight that was included in the bill we voted on. So while I support these bills, Madam Chair, on the docket today moving forward on a bipartisan basis, I do wonder how the majority just expects us to ignore what is simultaneously going on with the reconciliation package, and whether they're just going to turn around negotiating packages and move them through partisan reconciliation in this future. They should not be bipartisan, actually bypassing this great committee. So sadly, the precedent has already been set to do that, and it's very unfortunate. I yield back, Madam Chair. Thank you.